Hello. It has been maybe a week or 2 or 3 since I've recorded. Linear time has been feeling, well, less linear lately. And I just went through some of my notes to see what was coming through the strongest. And at some point in 2024, I don't remember when, I was meditating one day and I was shown a syzygy, which I honestly can't remember if the planetary alignment came first or the word syzygy, but I was basically shown like multiple planets like will be aligned. And I didn't check astrologically, it's just something that came through, and I was reminded by something on my feed. I believe it was on the 21st of January. There were 6 planets in alignment. Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Venus, and Saturn. So maybe some of you caught this alignment. I know they said they, meaning this article that I found, were visible planets in the sky. Anyway, so when I was shown this alignment, which, like I said, it was sometime in 2024, that in 2025 there was going to be this alignment. I didn't realize it was going to be so soon into 2025. And a few weeks before this alignment came in, and it's funny because I was shown it like right after it happened, or like drawn to look for it. So it's almost like the idea of like waiting for something, it's like, what do they say, that expression, like when you try to make plans, like life happens. I'm butchering this. Like something about like God laughing when you try to make plans or something. I don't know. Something like that. It feels like the energy of this alignment just sort of like sneaking up on you, type of thing. Now, of course, when they say the stars align, literally, those tapped in, it seems like there's something that's going to be mirroring in your waking life. And when I say waking life, I mean, that can be taken multiple ways, actually. Yeah, so a few weeks prior, so maybe like the last month or so, 3 weeks, I kept seeing symbology for crossroads, like 2 of Swords and tarot energy. And I would see like, clouds in the sky crossing. I kept being like, being located near like train stations, railroads crossing, the idea at a crossroads. So when you're finding this, there could be like, it feels like there is something that has just is bringing you out of this like crossroads energy. Even if you're like, oh, I didn't consciously just make a decision, it feels like there has been like in some layer of your conscious or subconscious, but it doesn't feel too subconscious. Like it feels like even perhaps like etherically, there's like some decision that feels like it's been made. For some of you, it may be more like you actually did just make a decision, or that's coming up in the near future. I was also seeing a lot of repeating 6s, like the Lovers in tarot, which originally can be about a choice. Keep in mind, this can also be someone that you're closely connected to that's also going through this, perhaps mirroring something back to you. Especially someone you're connected to energetically speaking. So with the crossroads energy that kept coming through, I would say within the last maybe like 3 days, I've been continuously seeing Tower card energy in tarot, like foundations crumbling and anticipating change. Now, your relationship to change will affect how these tower moments are happening. That Uranus energy of like quick, sudden movement, unexpected surprise elements coming forth. The electric polarity, like the masculine polarity, electric energy, seems that it's like that I was talking about this the last few weeks, how there's like this surge in the electric polarity, like the electric polarity is like amplifying. And so it feels like now that was like a few weeks ago, and now, the tower has been crumbling, new foundation. So, if you're someone who is like, okay, I appreciate change, I like change, that doesn't mean you don't have fears come up, of course, but you're more someone who is like anticipates their own tower moments, like etc., then this may feel not so heavy. And like, even though change is still, there's still grieving processes that come up when you are like making space and decluttering emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, all the different layers. Grief can still come into play. So I feel like it's just important to give yourself that space if you're not already. But if you're someone who's a little bit more like rigid and not as open to change, or maybe that's something you're working towards, this can feel maybe a little bit heavier or a little bit more shocking in a way that feels like, oh, I'm not ready. I just saw someone like almost like looking over a cliff, like, like kind of looking down, and then someone coming up behind them and just like kind of tapping them and pushing them over. And it's like, whoa, I have no choice but to go now. So there's something like that in the energy too. So yeah, it will be different for each of you, but some of you, this is very specific for those who maybe have a little bit of a harder time embracing change. You might actually be like having toe or fingernail. There's something about the nails. Like, I was getting an image of someone like clawing into the side of a cliff or something and like hanging off of something. So it's like you may be like, I don't know, I can get like how you can get like sore nails, or like your nails might be breaking, or they might be really soft, or like you might be stubbing your toe, or like hitting your finger in a door. Like, there's something about like sore nails in some way. And that is just coming through as like, perhaps there's something that you're holding onto too tightly, that is trying to like, like the death card in I was going to say in tarot, and I was going to say transform. Yeah. So that is coming through. So let's see what else. I had this dream the other night, and it's interesting. This is coming through the syzygy. If I'm saying that incorrectly, my apologies. But yeah, multiple planets aligning. And this dream was like pretty visceral. Like, I was having some experiences where there was some fear coming up, actually. And in the dream, like when I woke up, I could like feel the physical like fear and pain that was coming through the dream. And this is like not to scare anyone, but I was being shown basically, so I was in the house that I mainly grew up in. I moved a couple times, but in like my main house. And funny enough, is the street I grew up on is called Friendship Street. So this could be like maybe specifically in the area of friendships for some of you. But I was in the basement, which growing up, like that's where we hung out most of the time, is in the basement, my sister and I. And anyway, while I'm in the basement, I was having these like, how do I say this? These feelings, like I was seeing a being in the dream I had been seeing this being, but then I like talked myself out of it. And then someone else came over and was like, oh my God, do you see like the being right there? And I was like, oh my God, I swear I was seeing it. And then I was talking myself out of it. And then all of a sudden we were like trying to run and like we couldn't scream. We were like trying to scream and like neither of us could scream. And then finally like I mustered up enough like I could scream a little bit. And we were like trying to run. And then all of a sudden this like a different being. So the one being would be like what we would call a gray. And then the other one was like almost like that clown It, but like it had a all white face. And it like got my right hand and it like scratched and bit it almost like put an X in my right hand. And it was so painful, and that was the pain that I could feel. So, of course, we can interpret this many ways, but the idea that it was in the basement, like in the basement I grew up in, like it just kept reminding me of like, you know, when people like store things in the basement and you need to clean it out. It's like this, of course, it also felt collective and ancestral. So there's this ancestral purge. And now when we talk about the idea of the gray being, or, you know, we can take that in multiple ways, like symbolically, just anything that feels alien to like the system as well. Like I feel like there's been these like cellular purges that have been happening and cellular detoxes, of course, mentally, subconsciously, emotionally, and then like physically in the body, you know, like heavy metals, like things that maybe bring the body out of balance or out of homeostasis that have been coming to the forefront to be released. And I was saying on Patreon the other day that I just had this like skin reaction on my legs, which is like not common for me. And I noticed like a few little skin blemishes that are popping in. Yeah, so it feels like this like literal purge out of the skin. So you may be having something like that as well. Of course, I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just sharing what might be coming through. I was just taken to the Aurora Borealis, and I know, interestingly, like over the last, like, I don't know, 6 months maybe, I know people have been having sightings of the Aurora Borealis in places that it isn't always just regularly shown. And so it feels like to me, there's a recording I did on YouTube, the Aurora Re-Encryption. There could be messages in there for you, perhaps, if you feel drawn to that. I go more into detail about this. A bird just flew and perched on a branch, like outside my window. It was a pretty big bird. And I've been really seeing, like, you know, feathers, but like in abundance of feathers. Like I went with my friend to his property, and like an entire bird, which of course I send love, it was a turkey vulture, had like passed on his property. And then like that day or the next day I went to my friend's place, and she had like a whole, maybe like 5 or 7 feathers, like decorated in a fashion of almost like when you do what's it called when kids like trace their hand, like a turkey, like a hand, like 5 feathers, or I think it was 5, something like that. And they were turkey vulture feathers. And we were like not, you know, I was in a different state, maybe like an hour away. So turkey vultures can be significant. I just felt like in a few weeks I just kept finding like groups of feathers together in ways. So there could be something through that. Turkey vultures, in spiritual terms, are often associated with transformation, death, and renewal due to its role as a scavenger in nature, signifying the cycle of life and death, while also representing wisdom, resourcefulness, and sometimes even a connection to the spirit world. And particularly in Native American cultures, can be seen as messengers from the afterlife. Yeah, you could be having dreams, meditation visits, shamanic experiences with like different ancestors, animal totems. They can also represent the circle of life and death, transformation and change, observation and awareness, spirit guide or messenger, patience and resourcefulness. It says some people can also view these messengers negatively, like association with death and decay. Yeah, so it's interesting because the dream that I was having can absolutely be perceived as negative, since I just got a message, so you could be getting a text message or some sort of notification pop in. And the idea of Two of Swords of like, I'm getting it's like around perception or a view of something. Like when I woke up from that dream, I was like, whoa, like I woke up in the middle of the night, and it had been a while since I had a dream like that. And I was like, okay, like what am I being shown, you know, like a little bit of fear, like I could feel it in my body, and I was just trying to like breathe through it. So it just feels like, yeah, there's like this collective purge of lingering subconscious fear and the way we perceive some of these experiences. So it's almost like the choice I was speaking of. I mean, I feel like it's in multiple areas, but one of the areas feels like it is in how we perceive our experiences and like how we choose to deal with things, you know? I also, the last few days, have been seeing 888, like multiple eights just repeating. 888, 888. 888 abundance gate. So someone here could be working on their abundance mindset, abundance flow. Maybe someone here is like really working through like opening up multiple streams of, or like pathways to receive abundance, and to also continue like the give and receive flow of abundance is kind of what I'm feeling. I haven't been guided to look up angel number until right now. The angel number 888 is said to represent abundance, prosperity, and success. It can also be a sign to get serious about manifesting your goals. Yeah, so I was at my friend's place the other day, and my other friend got me this little mini, tiny little like major arcana tarot deck. It's so tiny. It's like the cards like fit on your fingertip. And one of the cats, there's 2 cats where I was staying, and they're so great. And one of them came up as soon as I like started to take out the deck, the little mini deck. She like came up and was like, "What you doing?" And my friend came home a little bit after that and was like, "Oh my God, you'll never guess what? I found 2 of your cards in the bathroom." Somehow she like got them and took 2 of them away. And it's crazy because the one card, the Magician, has been like following the whole week. Like that just kept coming up. So the card that she took of all the cards was the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune. So yeah, there's something about like the tincture that I just made. I think I'm calling it a liquid blue gold, and usually like I'll bring through I usually do 1 ounce tinctures, and I'll like to describe, I'll sit with it and it will give me a phrase. And the phrase I got was like 1 ounce of co-creator or co-creation codes. Yeah, and so it feels like this destiny, the Wheel of Fortune, cycles, patterns. Like there's something that's just been with the syzygy, with the 6-planet alignment, that's like really coming into fruition and like stepping into that more co-creative experience energetically, that's going to like show up in your external reality, is kind of what this has been feeling like. Let's see. What else? Rest, rejuvenate, and play has been coming through as a theme as well. So, excuse me. I've also been seeing the number 808, and I feel like I've been seeing it in reference to like career and finances. I didn't look up that number, but there's something, if you're seeing like 808 or repeating zeros and eights, and also 303. I've been seeing 303, 303. 303 signifies a message of personal growth, creativity, self-expression, and finding inner peace. It encourages you to embrace positive changes, right, like that tower energy. Nurture your relationships and trust in the guidance of your angels, often indicating a time to express your authentic self and tap into your creative potential while seeking forgiveness and letting go of negativity. I'm just pausing to sit with the energy for a moment. Yeah, rest, rejuvenate, and play. That kept coming through. There's another word. It was like renewal, rejuvenate. These themes can be really coming in. And of course, the 6 planets that I mentioned, if you're into astrology or checking transits, and you haven't already, you could look through there in your chart to see if there's anything more detailed or specific that wants to show through this alignment. And like I said, it says from January 21st to February 21st. So yeah, this month-long cycle, it really does feel, there's a black cat that just walked by my window. So black cats can be an omen for someone. And I just heard the witching hour. So yeah, you could be waking up at night more than usual, or feel like you're waking up at maybe the same time, or like a specific time that, or a number that jumps out at you. You could be peeing a lot more often. I feel like the kidneys have been coming up into play quite a bit this week. So if you're not already, there's some Kundalini poses with yoga, yogic movement that can help something tune into the kidney. Maybe someone here is like really into specific herbs or teas, like dandelion greens or something, like bitter greens. Just something to work with with the kidney if you feel so called. It says the kidneys frequently are associated with the most inner stirrings of emotional life, but they are also viewed as the seat of the secret thoughts of the human. They are used as an omen. It's funny, I just said that word about the cat. As a metaphor for moral discernment, for reflection and inspiration. Yeah, these like mini hermit moments feel like you're being pulled within a bit, like to process something hidden, like that basement dream of those beings, like just kind of waiting in there for me to like dip in for a second. I may, in the Patreon overflow, just sort of go into that a bit more, like in terms of, I'm not exactly sure what yet, but I may go into the more 8th sphere. Is in anthroposophy, they talk about the 8th sphere, the lunar realms, some of the more shadowy or reversal codes or reversal grids, things like this, if that's something that interests you. And as well, like I'm seeing the infinity loop, it's like that is part of the experience, and then there's going to be like an illumination of some sort that will probably come through the Patreon overflow as well. I just don't know exactly where that's headed quite yet. I feel like I had so much to say. It's 4:32 on my timer, so working with the heart right now, heart frequencies, heart opening can be helpful if you're not already. A few other little things. I was staying with a friend like a year ago, and I kept having this phenomenon of breaking glasses. Like, not even like, oh, I dropped the glass and it broke, although that did happen too, but like literally just like barely touching the glass, and it just like clean break, shoo, right in half. That happened a few times. It was just like, I think we stopped counting at like 7 glasses. And then right before I went back to my hometown to visit this last week, my friend was like, oh my God, you won't believe it. Like, her aunt just got her these brand new wine glasses. Boom, one broke, and she was like not even touching it. And she's like, oh, well, Jess is coming back, like making a joke, and then I swear to you, I went to the house and she left for like a little while to run an errand with her aunt and her uncle, and she comes back, or right before she comes back, the glass that I chose to use, it was the same wine glasses, same thing. It wasn't even standing, like it just cracked, clean break. And I was just like, oh my God, like you will not believe it. So there's something about glasses breaking. Like I said, this happened like a year ago, and then this happened again this past week. So there could be like something like this going on where, whether it's glass breaking or, let me see if I'm being shown any other examples. I just heard moon water. Maybe someone here is making moon water or thinking about making moon water. Maybe like crystals, if someone works with crystals, maybe they're just like, you had one like for a while and all of a sudden, like in a weird way, it just like broke off. There could be different scenarios, but let's see. There could be also this, like, I've been feeling the last week or two, this initiatory energy of like a rite of passage. Samskara is a word that has been coming through off and on, and I believe it's a Sanskrit word, and it talks about the like a rite of passage. So there could be this spiritual initiation that has been sort of looming through this last cycle, and this planetary alignment from, of course, whenever you're finding this is timeless, but like the month of whenever you're finding this, it feels like there's sort of that rite of passage that has been completed. You know, the world card in tarot, there's like this completion energy, and the next month is like the residual energy will be, again, that like subconscious basement type of thing where there may be some just like ripple effect releases, and something, it's like the space has been made. And of course, sometimes I kept being shown this imagery of like when you wring out a dirty towel, like if you clean something, right, the surface is all clean after you are finished, and then all that dirt is still in that towel, especially if it's wet, and then, you know, you wring out all the dirt. So it's like that process of like, okay, the surface is clean, now you just have to wring out the dirt. You may have to do it a couple times, but the space has been created. And yeah, it feels exciting. And I heard like a congratulations, because yeah, this rite of passage has been realized, I'm hearing. And also I just got chills on my legs. So some meanings for metaphysical meanings of glass breaking. Broken glass often symbolizes the loss of a relationship, grief over a recent death, or a need to put the past behind you and move forward. It bodes or signals a time of change, which keeps coming through, and transformation in your life. Something is shattering, being broken down, released, and transformed. Right, like that tower energy, like foundations that are no longer serving, behaviors, thought patterns, etc., are being transformed and released. But I also kept getting like the idea of like transmutation. So like I was feeling a few heavy things the last week, and then the last 2 days I've had some time to really like process and transmute. So yeah, it definitely feels like that type of cyclical nature is coming to the forefront. So you may be continually adding more awareness to your process of this type of emotional alchemy. Now, on the more auric, like empowerment is kind of what I'm feeling from the glass breaking. It also almost feels like, again, that electric energy in the energy field is like slicing glass. Like there's this like precision and like harnessing inner strength and power that's also being channeled and utilized in a more constructive way. And I feel like with these changes, it's going to amplify. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to sort of leave with today. There will be an overflow on Patreon within the next few days. If you're finding this when I first record it, if not, it will be under there if you're interested. I'd love to hear from you if you have anything to say. Thank you. I have to say, I just ended my YouTube. Well, you'll be hearing this. I ended this audio and then I went to go, it's 4:44 right now, and I went to go use the restroom, and I just started my moon cycle, and I saw that at 4:44, and this is the second time in a row that I started my moon almost a minute or so after I ended my a YouTube recording. So there definitely feels like some sort of synchronistic release here. And I just had to share that. And even if you're someone who does not menstruate, the idea of this for me, it just feels, it's funny with the black cat, like there's just this, like, if you want to call it like a witchy energy, I don't know, something like this, that feels like potency, the potency of your inner realms, essentially. It feels like there's, again, this like amping up of this. I just wanted to share that. And I was just my eyes just went to this face wash that's sitting on the shower, and cleansing. It says cleansing ritual 1, and then goddess on the front cover of the face wash. So okay, that feels like a beautiful place to end.